The 25th dynasty of Egypt, also known as the Kushite dynasty, represents a unique and transformative period in the ancient history of Egypt and Nubia. Originating from the powerful kingdom of Kush, located to the south of Egypt in what is modern-day Sudan, the Kushite rulers rose to prominence as pharaohs of Egypt during a time of political instability and internal fragmentation. This dynasty, which lasted from approximately 744 to 656 BCE, saw the Nubian kings assert their dominance over Egypt, reunifying the country, restoring its cultural and religious traditions, and playing a significant role in the broader geopolitical struggles of the ancient Near East. The rise of the Kushites to power in Egypt was a result of a combination of factors. During the late period of Egyptian history, Egypt had been weakened by internal strife, decentralization, and foreign invasions. The new kingdom, once a dominant empire in the region, had fallen into decline, and the subsequent Libyan dynasties that controlled parts of Egypt were unable to fully restore the glory of the past. In this context, the Kushites, who had long been influenced by Egyptian culture, religion, and politics, saw an opportunity to intervene and restore order. The relationship between Egypt and Nubia had been a complex one for centuries. Egypt had previously exerted control over Nubia, particularly during the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom periods, when Egyptian pharaohs established military and administrative centers in the region. The rich resources of Nubia, particularly gold, were highly valued by the Egyptians, and Nubian soldiers were often incorporated into the Egyptian military. Over time, the Nubians adopted many aspects of Egyptian culture, including its religious beliefs, writing system, and monumental architecture. This deep cultural connection played a critical role in the Kushite rulers' later claims to the Egyptian throne. The founder of the 25th dynasty, King Pi, also known as Pianki, began his campaign to take control of Egypt in the mid-8th century BCE. At this time, Egypt was fragmented into multiple small kingdoms, with various local rulers vying for power. Pi, who was already a powerful king in Nubia, saw himself as the legitimate successor to the pharaohs of old and embarked on a military campaign to bring order to Egypt. His victory over the local Egyptian rulers was swift and decisive, as his forces captured the key city of Thebes, the religious and cultural center of Egypt. Pi's conquest was not just a military achievement, but also a symbolic one. He portrayed himself as a restorer of Egypt's traditional values and religious practices, particularly the worship of the god Ammonius, whose main temple was located in Thebes. Pi's devotion to Ammonius and his efforts to restore Egypt's religious institutions helped legitimize his rule in the eyes of the Egyptian populace. Pi's reign marked the beginning of a new era in Egyptian history, one in which Nubian kings ruled over a united Egypt. After Pi's death, his successors continued to build on his achievements. His brother, Shabaka, assumed the throne and further solidified Kushite control over Egypt. Shabaka is often credited with continuing Pi's policies of restoring Egyptian religious traditions and promoting monumental architecture. He was responsible for the construction of several temples and other public works, many of which bore inscriptions emphasizing his role as a restorer of Egypt's greatness. Shabaka also sought to assert his dominance over the other rulers of the ancient Near East, engaging in diplomatic and military efforts to expand his influence beyond Egypt's borders. One of the most notable Kushite pharaohs of the 25th dynasty was Taharqa, who ruled during a period of intense conflict with the Assyrian Empire. Taharqa, like his predecessors, portrayed himself as a pious and legitimate ruler, closely associated with the religious traditions of Egypt. He undertook numerous building projects, including the construction of temples and other monumental structures, many of which still stand today as a testament to his reign. However, Taharqa's rule was also marked by significant challenges, particularly from the growing power of the Assyrians in the Near East. The Assyrians, under the leadership of their kings Esarhaddon and Ashurbanipal, sought to expand their empire into Egypt, viewing the country as a valuable prize due to its wealth and strategic location. Taharqa initially resisted Assyrian incursions into Egypt, but despite his efforts, the Assyrians ultimately succeeded in defeating him and briefly occupying parts of Egypt. The Assyrian invasions marked a turning point in the history of the 25th dynasty, as they weakened the authority of the Kushite rulers and led to the eventual decline of their control over Egypt. Taharqa's successor, Tandamani, attempted to restore Kushite dominance over Egypt, but his efforts were ultimately unsuccessful. Although he briefly regained control of Thebes and other parts of Upper Egypt, the Assyrians soon returned, forcing him to retreat to Nubia. The Assyrian invasions and the subsequent rise of the Sate dynasty, based in the city of Sais in the Nile Delta, marked the end of the 25th dynasty's rule over Egypt. However, the legacy of the Kushite rulers continued to influence Egyptian culture and politics long after their departure. The reign of the Kushite pharaohs had a profound impact on Egypt in several ways. First and foremost, they restored a sense of unity and stability to a country that had been deeply divided for decades. Their military campaigns, religious reforms, and building projects helped to reinvigorate Egypt's cultural and political life, even as they faced external challenges from the Assyrians and other powers. The Kushite rulers also left a lasting legacy in the form of their monumental architecture, particularly the temples and pyramids they constructed in both Egypt and Nubia. The pyramids of the Kushite rulers, located primarily in the region of modern-day Sudan, are among the most distinctive features of their reign. Unlike the massive pyramids built by the Old Kingdom pharaohs of Egypt, the Kushite pyramids were smaller and steeper in design, reflecting a blend of Egyptian and Nubian architectural traditions. These pyramids, along with the temples and other monuments built by the 25th dynasty rulers, stand as a testament to the enduring influence of the Kushite kings on both Egypt and Nubia. The 25th dynasty also played a crucial role in shaping the relationship between Egypt and Nubia in the centuries that followed. Although the Kushite rulers were eventually driven out of Egypt, their legacy endured in the cultural and political ties between the two regions. Nubia remained an important center of power and culture in the ancient world, and the memory of the Kushite pharaohs continued to influence the way both Egyptians and Nubians viewed their shared history. In conclusion, the 25th dynasty of Egypt, or the Kushite dynasty, represents a remarkable chapter in the history of both Egypt and Nubia. The reign of the Nubian pharaohs, from Pi to Tandamani, marked a period of restoration, religious revival, and monumental building in Egypt, even as they faced significant challenges from foreign powers like the Assyrians. The rise of the Kushite rulers to power in Egypt was rooted in their deep cultural connections to the country and their belief in their right to restore its former glory. Although their dynasty eventually came to an end, the legacy of the Kushite kings endured, leaving an indelible mark on the history and culture of the ancient world.